A wedding with a snake is still a wedding, until the bride begins to bleed. Elder Naji of Umulik village. I didn't see the signs at first. Or maybe I did. But I was too wrapped in lace and lies to pay attention. My name is Mary, and I married the man every woman in our village prayed for. Daniel, the man with a smile that melted stones, a voice like silk, and a wallet that never ran dry. When he walked past, girls blushed like hibiscus. Market women blessed him. Even the elders who rarely praised youths said, "That one, he was born with the sun on his head." When he chose me, it felt like the gods had signed my name in gold. "You've done well," my mother whispered, gripping my wrist on the day of the wedding. "God has answered us," my father added, tears welling in his proud old eyes. They didn't know what I saw that night. The wedding was a river of joy. Drums pounding, feet stomping, palm wine flowing from gourd to gourd. My head was wrapped in coral beads, my heart filled with honey. But by the time night came and the guests faded, I felt a strange restlessness I couldn't explain. Maybe it was the new house, with its long hallway that echoed like a cave. Maybe it was the silence. Daniel was humming in the bathroom, and I was curled on our bed, drowsy, slipping in and out of dreams. That's when I saw it. I stirred, eyes half open, and froze. Coiled around Daniel's waist, thick and glossy, was a black snake, not moving, not hissing, just staring at me with glowing yellow eyes. Couldn't scream. My voice folded into my chest like paper soaked in oil. I blinked, and it was gone. "What is it, Mary?" Daniel's voice cut through the darkness. I looked at him. There was no snake, just my handsome husband in his white singlet, wiping water from his neck, smiling, human. I laughed nervously. I thought, never mind. Maybe I'm tired. But I didn't sleep the rest of that night. The next morning, I told my mother in whispers while she cleared wedding gifts. "I saw a snake on him, coiled. It looked at me, Mama." She paused, her fingers tightening around a bottle of anointing oil. "You're tired. Dreams after weddings are confusing. Pray, Mary. Pray harder." And I did. I prayed until my knees ached and my lips turned to stone. But things only got worse. First, I found something strange beneath the bed. A shed snake skin, glistening like oil in the sun. Daniel wasn't around. He was always busy, always at meetings. But I kept that skin, hid it. Then came the sounds. Hissing from behind the wall. Sometimes in the bathroom. Sometimes in my dreams. Once, I looked into the mirror while brushing my teeth and saw another pair of eyes. Not mine. Reflected beside me. Yellow. Cold. Watching. The villagers still envied me. "Ah, Mary, how is life with our golden son? You are glowing. Oh, marriage fits you like lace. You are lucky." But luck, I've learned, sometimes wears the face of death. One night, when Daniel returned late, smelling of rain and palm oil, I asked him, "Have you ever seen a snake in this house?" He paused, just for a second. "Snake? Why would there be a snake in this house?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Are you still dreaming things, Mary?" I nodded, but inside me something stirred. I began to wonder, was Daniel cursed? Or was I the one walking into a trap meant for someone else? The first time I noticed the room breathing, I was alone. Daniel had traveled to Lagos for a business meeting, or at least that was what he told me. He packed in a hurry the night before and didn't even touch the food I made, white rice and fresh catfish stew. He only kissed my forehead and said, "Be strong, Mary. I'll be back soon." I nodded, but inside me I was glad. I needed space. I needed to think. That night, I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall in front of me. The wallpaper was new, cream-colored with tiny golden flowers. But as I stared longer, I began to feel something strange. The wall moved. At first, I thought it was my eyes playing tricks. So I blinked. I rubbed them. I even got up and touched the wall. Felt normal. But when I stepped back, I saw it again. The wall rising and falling, like a chest taking deep breaths. I didn't scream. I didn't move. I just stood there, frozen, watching my bedroom wall slowly inhale and exhale. And then, as if that wasn't enough, I heard it. A low, soft hissing sound came from the wall, deep inside, like something hidden behind it was breathing too. I pressed my ear to the wall. The hissing stopped. I stepped back, started again. My heart began to race. I ran to the kitchen and picked the small bottle of holy water Mama gave me on the wedding day. She said, "Sprinkle this around your home. It's from the church." That night, I sprinkled it everywhere, the corners, the windows, even on the mirror where I once saw those yellow eyes. Then I prayed. Not like a holy woman, but like someone trying not to go mad. I didn't sleep till morning. The next day, I went to visit Mama. She was sitting on a low stool outside, peeling cassava. When she saw me, her smile faded. "You haven't been sleeping," she said before I even spoke. I nodded. My eyes were heavy. "I need to ask you something," I said, sitting beside her. She stopped peeling. "Go on." I looked at the ground, then at her hands. "Why do I feel like I don't know the man I married?" Mama sighed, placed the knife down, and wiped her hands on her wrapper. "I told you to pray, Mary. There are things in this world that only prayer can fight." "I'm praying," I said, "but things are getting worse. I think the house is alive. I think something is hiding inside the walls. And Mama," I paused, "I keep hearing a snake. I found skins. And I keep dreaming that something is crawling inside me." Mama's eyes widened. "Inside you?" I nodded. Her voice lowered. "Has he touched you since the wedding night?" I shook my head. "He always says he's tired, or he travels, or he sleeps before me." She stared at the sky for a long time. Then she said, "Go and see Baba Yuzo." My heart skipped. "That herbalist?" "He's not just a herbalist," she whispered. "He sees what others can't. Your father once said Daniel's family was strange. But we didn't listen. We were so happy he chose you." I looked at her. "You think I'm cursed?" She touched my cheek gently. "I think you're not alone in that house." 2 days later, I stood in front of Baba Yuzo's small mud house at the edge of the forest. The air smelled like burning herbs and something else I couldn't name. He sat cross-legged on a mat, eyes closed, as if he was waiting for me. "You came," he said without opening his eyes. I sat on the mat across from him. My knees shook. "I didn't tell you I was coming," I said. "You didn't have to. The spirits brought your shadow ahead of you." I didn't know what that meant, but I didn't ask. My voice was quiet when I spoke. "I think something is wrong with my husband. I saw a snake on him. And now, strange things are happening in our house." He finally opened his eyes. They were red, not from anger, but like he hadn't slept in days. He took a small calabash from beside him and handed it to me. "Blow into it." I did. He closed it and whispered into it, then placed it near a burning pot. Smoke rose. He stared into it for what felt like forever. Then he looked at me. His face changed. His lips tightened. "What you married is not what you think," he said. My hands gripped my skirt. "Tell me the truth," I whispered. He nodded slowly. "There is an old pact in your husband's bloodline. A binding. Each first son must carry the spirit of the Watcher." "The Watcher?" I asked. "A snake spirit. Silent. Powerful. It protects the riches of the family, but it demands loyalty. And something else." My voice shook. "What?" "A wife." I stood up. My whole body felt cold. "What do you mean, demands a wife?" He looked at me. "You are the offering." I backed away. "No, I don't believe you." "Have you lain with him?" he asked. "No," I said, breathing fast. He nodded. "Then the spirit has not yet claimed you fully. That's why it still hides. That's why you still see it. Once the union is complete, your eyes will be blind to it. You'll never see it again, but it will live inside you." I didn't wait for more. I ran. I didn't stop until I reached the road, gasping for air, my legs shaking. When I got home that evening, Daniel was already back. He stood in the kitchen, drinking from a bottle of water. He turned and smiled. "Where did you go?" "To see Mama." I lied. He walked to me and held my hand. "You've lost weight," he said, touching my face. "Are you okay?" I nodded, but I didn't smile. I watched him as he walked away. Then I noticed something, just a small thing, but enough to freeze me. On the floor near his slippers was a small trail. It was wet, curved, like something had slithered in. That night I didn't sleep in the bedroom. I told him I had a headache and would rest in the guest room. He said nothing, just nodded and went into the main room. As I lay on the couch, I listened to the walls again. The hissing had grown louder, and then I heard it. Daniel's voice, talking, but not to me. I moved closer to the wall that joined both rooms and pressed my ear. His voice was soft, but clear. "Yes, I know. She's ready." A pause. "No, she hasn't suspected fully. She still doubts." Another pause. "Yes, I will take her soon. Just wait." My hand covered my mouth. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. That was when I knew. I was not married to a man. I was married to something else. The next morning, everything felt too quiet. Even the birds outside the window didn't sing the way they used to. It was like they knew something I didn't. I sat at the edge of the bed, rubbing my arms, trying to shake off the cold feeling crawling up my spine. Daniel had gone out early. He said he had a meeting with his uncle. I didn't ask questions. I just nodded like everything was normal. But nothing was normal anymore. I stayed inside the house, walking slowly from room to room, not sure what I was looking for. Maybe answers. Maybe proof that I wasn't going crazy. I stopped in front of the mirror in our bedroom. It was long, shiny, and smooth, the kind rich people hang on their walls. It had gold lines on the edge and stood taller than me. I looked into the mirror. At first, I only saw myself. My tired eyes, dry lips, and messy hair. Then, something moved behind me. It was so fast I almost missed it. I turned around quickly. Nothing. The room was empty. I turned back to the mirror. This time I saw him. There was a man in the mirror. He was standing behind me, smiling. His skin was dark, smooth like stone. His eyes glowed yellow, just like the snake's. He wore something that looked like Daniel's robe, but his body was different, thinner, taller, strange. I gasped and stepped back. But the man didn't move. He just stayed in the mirror, watching me. "Who are you?" I whispered. The man smiled wider. Then his lips moved. But I didn't hear anything. He was speaking, but no sound came out. I shut my eyes tightly. When I opened them again, the mirror was empty. I looked behind me. Still nothing. I dropped to the floor and pulled my knees to my chest. My heart was beating too fast. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. My voice was gone. I stayed like that until I heard the front door open. Daniel was back. I quickly stood up, wiped my face, and walked to the sitting room. He smiled when he saw me. "Mary, are you okay?" I forced a smile. "I'm fine." He stepped closer and held my hand. His touch was cold, colder than usual. "Have you been crying?" he asked. I shook my head. "Just tired." He nodded. "Come, let's eat together today." That surprised me. He hardly ever ate with me. Still, I followed him to the dining table. He had bought food, fried rice and grilled chicken. I sat across from him. We ate in silence. But I watched him closely. His face was normal, but his eyes, they were strange. Like they were too calm, too still. Like someone wearing a mask. He noticed me staring and smiled again. "What is it?" he asked. "Nothing," I said quickly and looked away. He reached for his drink and took a slow sip. "Mary," he said, "you know I love you, right?" I nodded. "Yes. I want you to feel safe in this house. Anything bothering you, tell me." I hesitated. "Even if it's strange?" He laughed softly. "Strange how?" I looked down at my plate. Like, seeing things, hearing things. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Maybe you're just lonely. You stay alone most times. Maybe that's why you feel that way." I didn't answer. I just nodded. After dinner, he kissed my forehead again and went to the bedroom. I stayed in the sitting room. I stared at the mirror on the wall opposite me. It was smaller than the bedroom one, but I didn't trust it either. I got up and covered it with a cloth. Then I walked outside. The air was fresh. The moon was full and bright. I stood there, breathing in and out, trying to calm myself. Suddenly, I heard someone whisper my name. Mary. I turned quickly. There was no one there. Again. Mary. Over here. This time I saw him. A man stood near the mango tree beside the fence. He wore a white shirt and brown trousers. He looked like he had walked a long way. His face was familiar. As he stepped into the light, I froze. It was Chuka, Daniel's cousin. The one who used to live with his family before we got married. The one they said traveled abroad. He looked tired, scared, and dirty. Chuka, I asked, stepping closer. He raised his hands. Don't scream. What are you doing here? I whispered. They said you left the country. He shook his head. I never left. I ran. Ran. I blinked. From what? He looked around nervously. From this house. From them. My legs felt weak. Why? He took a deep breath. Because I saw it too. The same thing you've been seeing. The snake. The eyes. The mirror. Covered my mouth. You saw it? Yes. He nodded fast. And they knew I saw it. That's why they tried to silence me. Who tried? I asked. Daniel. His mother. The entire family. They are part of it. Couldn't breathe. They pick one person every time. One outsider. To give to the watcher. To keep the wealth flowing. My voice shook. You mean me? He didn't answer. Chuka. Tell me the truth. I shouted. He held my hand. You have to leave, Mary. Before it's too late. They've already started the process. Once the watcher accepts you, you can't leave. I pulled my hand away. No. I need proof. If I leave now, they'll say I'm mad. Chuka looked into my eyes. Then come with me. There's something I kept. Something they don't know I hid. Where? I asked. Not far. But we have to go now, before Daniel finds out I spoke to you. I looked back at the house. The lights were off in the bedroom. My heart was torn in two. I wanted to believe Chuka. But what if he was lying? What if this was another trick? Still, what if he was telling the truth? I made my choice. Okay, I said. Let's go. We moved fast, walking past the back gate and into the small bush path behind the estate. The night was quiet. Too quiet. I could hear every step we took. Every crunch of dry leaves. Every beat of my heart. After about 10 minutes, we reached a small abandoned shack. Chuka opened the door slowly and pulled me inside. He pointed to a corner. Under a broken stool was a bag. He picked it up, opened it, and brought out a small wooden box. He handed it to me. I opened it. Inside were old papers, photos, and a black cloth. The photos showed people I didn't recognize, young girls, men, families, all standing in front of the same house I now lived in. They were all used, Chuka said, and none of them were ever seen again. I picked up one paper. It had names and dates. My name was there, written in red ink. The date beside it was only 3 days away. That's when I knew. It was real. All of it. The mirror, the snake, the watcher, the family, and me. I was next. We stayed inside the shack for a while, both of us staring at the box of secrets like it was a ticking bomb. My hands were cold. My legs felt weak. But my eyes didn't blink. They were fixed on that list, on my name written in red like blood. 3 days? I said softly, almost to myself. They wrote 3 days. Chuka nodded. That's when the final ritual happens. Once that day comes, if you're still in the house, it's over. I looked at him. What do they do to the person? He sighed, eyes filled with pain. I don't know everything, but I know the person never comes out the same, if they even come out at all. My head started spinning. I held the table beside me to stay balanced. I need to get out, I said quickly. I need to leave tonight. You can't just run, Mary, Chuka said. They'll come after you. They have ways of tracking anyone who breaks the pact. What pact? I snapped. I didn't agree to any pact. But your marriage was the pact, he said. The ring, the vows. The night you first shared a bed with Daniel. That sealed it. I felt like vomiting. But how can that be fair? I didn't know anything. Chuka looked down. That's how it works. That's how it has always worked. I covered my face with my hands. So I'm trapped. He touched my arm gently. Maybe not. I looked up at him. What do you mean? There's one way out, he whispered. But it's dangerous. I leaned closer. Tell me. You need to break the blood pact. How? I asked, shaking. Daniel's blood was mixed with yours the night of the wedding. That's why they served you the wine from that special cup. You remember the one with the gold line? I nodded slowly. Yes. I thought it was just fancy. It wasn't, he said. It was the cup of binding. Your blood and his were inside. I stared at him, speechless. If you can find the cup and break it before the third night, you'll be free. But if you break it wrong, the Watcher will come for you. My throat went dry. The Watcher? He nodded. The spirit in the mirror. The one that lives between the world of the dead and the living. That's who they serve. I stepped back. This is too much. I know, Chuka said. But it's your only chance. I grabbed the wooden box and stood. I'm going back. His eyes widened. Now? Why? They'll notice I'm gone soon. If I come back calmly, maybe they'll think I just went for air. I'll act like nothing happened. Are you sure you can pull it off? He asked. I don't have a choice, I said. Where do they keep the cup? Check the shrine room, he said. Behind the painting in the guest room. There's a hidden door. I nodded. Thank you. Chuka held my arm again. Be careful. If you see Daniel's mother, don't speak to her alone. She's more dangerous than Daniel. I didn't say anything. I just left. The walk back was quiet. The night air was thick and heavy, like it knew something bad was coming. Every sound in the bush made me jump. My ears kept catching the crunch of dry leaves, the flap of wings, the cry of an owl. When I reached the gate, I sneaked in through the side. The back door was still unlocked, just the way I left it. I stepped inside. The house was silent, dark. I walked slowly, placing my feet softly on the tiles. My heart was beating loud in my chest, like drums. I reached the guest room. It smelled like dust and old wood. I turned on the small lamp by the corner and looked at the wall. There was the painting of Daniel's grandfather, a tall man with strong eyes and a staff in his hand. I moved closer and ran my fingers along the edge of the frame. Click. Something moved. I pulled the painting aside and gasped. There was a wooden door behind it, just like Chuka said. I pushed it open slowly. A narrow passage appeared, leading into a small, dark room. I stepped inside and pulled the light cord. Dim yellow light filled the space. My eyes widened. Inside were old items, bones, feathers, jars filled with red liquid, candles, and a large wooden table with carvings. On the table sat the cup, gold-lined, black in the middle, the same one from my wedding. I walked closer. I could feel something in the air, like the room was watching me. I picked up the cup. It was cold, heavier than I remembered. I raised it to the light. There were 2 red lines inside. Dried blood. My hands shook. Suddenly I heard a sound. Footsteps. I quickly hid the cup inside my dress and turned off the light. I closed the hidden door and pulled the painting back into place. I rushed out of the guest room and into the hallway. Then I stopped. Daniel's mother was standing there. She was wearing a red wrapper and black scarf. Her eyes were hard, her face tight. Where are you coming from? She asked. I smiled. Just checking the rooms. I couldn't sleep. She looked at me closely. Your eyes are red. Have you been crying? I shook my head. No, Mama. She stepped closer. Are you sure everything is all right? Yes, Mama. She stared at me for a long time. I didn't blink. Then she smiled. Good. You know tomorrow is a special day. I nodded slowly. Yes, Mama. She touched my chin. You are a good wife, Mary. Obedient. Quiet. Daniel made the right choice. Thank you, Mama. She stepped back. Sleep well, my daughter. You too, Mama. I waited until she was gone before I rushed into the bedroom and locked the door. I pulled out the cup and placed it on the floor. Now what? Chuka didn't say how to break it. Just that if I broke it wrong, the watcher would come. I stared at the cup. Then I remembered something. The snake. The mirror. The silence. Every time I saw something strange, it didn't move or make noise. Maybe sound was the key. I grabbed a cloth and wrapped the cup inside it. Then I placed it inside a thick pillow and raised it high. With one final breath, I smashed it on the floor. Crack. The sound echoed around the room. I opened the pillow. The cup was broken into 3 pieces. But something strange happened. Black smoke rose from the shards. It twisted in the air like a snake, then vanished into the ceiling. Then silence. I waited. No eyes in the mirror. No hiss. No whisper. Just silence. Maybe it worked. Maybe I was free. Or maybe the watcher was waiting. I didn't sleep. Even though I broke the cup, I kept my eyes wide open, waiting for something to happen. The silence in the room felt heavy, like the air didn't want to move. I sat on the edge of the bed with my legs pressed together, staring at the floor. My hands were still shaking. Was I safe? Was it really over? The black smoke had vanished after I broke the cup, and for a short moment, everything went quiet. No more glowing eyes. No hissing sounds. No strange feelings. Just silence. But the silence didn't bring peace. It brought fear. What if the watcher didn't leave? What if I did it wrong? I was still deep in thought when Daniel walked in. He looked tired, his eyes dull, like he hadn't slept either. His white singlet was wet with sweat, and his hair looked rough like he had been outside all night. He closed the door behind him and stood there, just watching me. "Why are you awake?" he asked. "I couldn't sleep," I replied. "Is something bothering you?" He walked slowly to the bed. "No," I said quickly. "Just the heat." He sat beside me, placing his hand gently on my back. His touch made me stiffen. I didn't trust him anymore, not after everything I had seen. "You've been acting strange lately," he said. I kept quiet. "Is there something I should know?" He asked again, looking straight into my eyes. I turned my face away. "I'm just tired, Daniel." He leaned back on the bed, folding his arms under his head. "Tomorrow is a special day." I swallowed hard. "What's so special about it?" He chuckled. "You'll see. My mother is already preparing. She said it will be the biggest night of your life." The way he said it sent a cold chill down my spine. I stood up slowly. "I need to use the toilet." Daniel nodded without looking at me. I stepped into the bathroom and locked the door. My chest was rising and falling fast. My heart felt like it was beating in my ears. The biggest night of my life? No, that wasn't right. I already broke the cup. I was supposed to be free. Unless they had a backup plan. Suddenly, I remembered the list in the wooden box. My name written in red ink with 3 days beside it. That day was today, and the night was coming fast. I washed my face and looked in the mirror. No glowing eyes behind me. I took a deep breath. Maybe it really worked. Maybe I just needed to wait until midnight passed. I stepped back into the room. Daniel was snoring lightly. I lay beside him, my back stiff and my mind racing. The clock beside the bed said 11:14 p.m. 46 minutes left. Please let this pass quietly, I prayed in my heart. But just as the minute hand moved to 11:30, I heard something. A knock. It wasn't loud. It was soft and slow, like someone tapping with one finger. Knock, knock, knock. I turned to Daniel. He didn't move, still snoring. Another knock came, this time a bit louder. I stood up, tiptoed to the door, and pressed my ear against it. Silence. Then another knock, fast and sharp. I stepped back. Then came the voice. Low, soft, familiar. "Mary." I froze. It was Chuka's voice. "Mary, it's me." I unlocked the door fast and pulled it open. He was sweating, his shirt wet and torn at the shoulder. "What happened?" I whispered. "They know," he said quickly. "They know you broke the cup." My blood ran cold. "How?" "There's a second cup. The one you broke was a decoy. It was meant to trick outsiders who tried to interfere. No, I gasped. That can't be. He grabbed my wrist. We don't have much time. The real ritual is starting soon. You need to leave now. Daniel is here, I said, panicking. He's sleeping. Chuka looked past me into the room. That's not Daniel. What? Look at him. I turned slowly. Daniel was still lying on the bed. But something was off. His chest wasn't moving. His hands looked too still. Then I noticed something else. His face was blank, like someone wearing a mask. I turned back to Chuka. What do I do? You must leave now. Follow me. I hesitated. What if they catch us? They will if we wait. I grabbed my phone and slippers. We ran down the hallway, past the guest room, past the dining area, toward the back door. But as we reached the kitchen, a voice stopped us. Where are you going, my daughter? Daniel's mother. She was standing near the door in a long red robe. Her hair was tied in black cloth. Her eyes were sharp and glowing. Chuka stepped in front of me. Let us pass. She smiled. So you think you can save her? She didn't agree to this. Chuka shouted. She said the vows, Mama said calmly. She drank the wine. She slept in the bed. That was the agreement. I moved beside Chuka. I didn't know. I didn't want this. But it doesn't matter, Mama said, walking closer. You belong to the covenant now. Chuka reached into his pocket and threw something on the ground. There was a loud flash of light, and smoke filled the kitchen. Run! He shouted, pulling me by the hand. We dashed through the back door into the night. I didn't look back. We ran through the compound and into the bush. My legs were shaking. Thorns scratched my feet. Branches hit my arms. But I didn't stop. Not even when I heard screams behind us. Not even when I heard footsteps chasing. We ran until we reached the small shack, the same place Chuka had taken me before. We locked the door behind us and fell to the ground, breathing hard. My chest hurt. My throat was dry. Is she still coming? I asked. Chuka peeked through a hole in the wall. I think we lost them. For now. Tears rolled down my face. So what now? He sat beside me. We wait till dawn. The third night ends at sunrise. If we survive till then, the covenant breaks. I looked at him. Are you sure? He nodded. That's what the old man told me. The spirit only has power till the third night. After that, the door closes again. We sat there in the dark, listening to the sounds of the night. Owls hooted. Leaves rustled. Far away, a dog barked. Every second felt like an hour. But slowly, the sky outside began to change. The stars faded. The black sky turned gray. Then, a soft light appeared at the edge of the world. Dawn. I turned to Chuka. Is it over? He smiled. You made it. I didn't smile. I just stared at the rising sun and whispered, thank you. But something told me this wasn't truly the end. It was just the beginning. The sun had barely come up when I opened my eyes. I was lying on the floor of the small wooden shack beside Chuka. My neck hurt, my back was stiff, and my eyes felt swollen. I hadn't truly slept. Even though the night had passed, my mind was still trapped in fear. I sat up slowly and looked around the room. The walls were made of old wood, full of holes and cracks. A tiny lizard ran across one corner. The air smelled like dust and sweat. Chuka was still asleep, his body curled up against the wall. He looked peaceful, like someone who had fought a hard battle and won. But I didn't feel like I had won anything. I felt empty. I stood up and stretched my arms, then walked to the small window. The morning was quiet. I could hear birds singing and goats bleating somewhere far off. The peace outside didn't match the storm inside me. Chuka woke up with a soft groan. You're awake. Yes, I said. He sat up and rubbed his face. You're safe now. That's what matters. I turned and looked at him. Are we really safe, Chuka? Are you sure? He nodded, but not with confidence. The covenant ended when the sun came up. Then why do I still feel like something is watching me? Chuka stood and came closer. It's because they're angry. You broke the rules. You escaped. They don't like that. So what now? I asked, my voice low. Do I go back home? Pretend like nothing happened. No, Chuka said firmly. You can't go back there. Not yet. Not until you understand everything. I frowned. Understand what? He sat back down and tapped the floor beside him. Come. I need to tell you something. I sat beside him, feeling the rough floor under my legs. There's a story, he began. A very old one. About a woman who married into a rich family, just like you. She was young, beautiful, and everyone in the village said she was lucky. But her husband's family belonged to the same group as Daniel's. My heart started beating fast again. They made a promise many years ago, Chuka said. A promise to a spirit. In exchange for wealth, power, and long life, each first wife must be offered. I gasped. Offered? You mean like killed? Chuka shook his head. Not always. Some are taken. Some disappear. Some go mad. But the goal is the same. The spirit must be fed. I covered my mouth with both hands. That's what the snake is, he continued. It's not just a sign. It's the spirit itself. Watching. Waiting. And once the third night passes, if the wife survives, the spirit leaves empty and the family suffers. That's why they don't let anyone escape. But I did, I said slowly. So does that mean they'll lose everything? Chuka nodded. Yes, unless they find another way to please the spirit. I stood up quickly. So they'll come after me again? Chuka looked down. Maybe. Or someone else. Tears filled my eyes. I didn't ask for any of this, Chuka. I just wanted to be happy. I wanted a good home. He stood up and held my shoulders. I know. That's why we must be careful now. You're not just running anymore. You're carrying a secret they don't want to come out. My voice shook. What should I do? We go to the old priest, he said. He's the only one who can help now. The one who first told me about the second cup. He knows how to break the bond completely. I wiped my face and nodded. We left the shack and walked through a narrow path that led to the village outskirts. The morning sun was bright, but my heart was still heavy. After walking for nearly 30 minutes, we reached a small hut built under a big tree. Smoke rose from a small fire at the side. A man sat outside, grinding herbs with a stone. He was old, with white hair and a face full of lines. He looked up as we approached. You brought her, he said, without being told anything. Chuka bowed slightly. Yes, Baba. This is Mary. The old man's eyes were sharp. He looked at me for a long time before speaking. You've seen it, haven't you? I nodded slowly. The snake. He stood up and motioned for us to enter the hut. Inside, it was dark and smelled of herbs. There were strange objects hanging from the roof. Dried leaves, shells, even a small skull. He pointed at a mat. Sit. We both sat. The old man sat across from us. Breaking the cup was a brave thing to do, my daughter. But it was only the first step. What you saw, what followed you, was only a part of it. The real spirit lives inside your husband. My head snapped up. Inside Daniel? Yes, he said. He was chosen from birth. Raised in it. That's why he was so charming. So perfect. The spirit blessed him. I felt my whole body go cold. So, he's not even normal? Not fully, the old man said. There is a part of him that is still human. But that part is trapped. Can he be saved? I asked. The old man nodded. Maybe, but it comes at a price. I held my breath. What kind of price? You must face him again, before the next moon rises. If not, the spirit will come back for you. I turned to Chuka. I can't face him. You saw what happened. His mother. The fake body in the bed. The snake. The old man leaned forward. That was just fear. Now you have knowledge. And knowledge is power. I looked at the floor. My hands were shaking. Will you help me? I asked the old man. He stood and walked to the corner of the hut. He picked up a small leather pouch and handed it to me. Inside are 3 things, he said. Burn the leaf when you see him. Pour the salt in a circle around you. And if the snake appears again, throw the black stone at its eyes. I opened the pouch and looked inside. The leaf smelled bitter. The salt was rough. The stone was small and smooth. "Thank you," I said, though my voice was still unsure. "You have till sunset tomorrow," he said. After that, the door closes again. We walked out of the hut, the heat from the sun stronger now. Chuka looked at me. "Are you ready?" I didn't answer. I wasn't ready, but I didn't have a choice. The war had begun, and I had to finish it. The road back to Daniel's house felt longer than I remembered. The sky above us was starting to turn orange, and the sun was slowly falling behind the hills. The old man's warning kept playing in my head. "You must face him before sunset tomorrow. If not, the door closes again." I held the leather pouch tightly in my hand. The pouch felt warm, like it knew what was coming. Inside were the things the old man had given me, the bitter leaf, the salt, and the black stone. I didn't know if they would work, but they were all I had. Chuka walked beside me, quiet. His face looked serious. He kept looking around like he was watching for danger. "Do you think he's waiting for me?" I asked softly. Chuka nodded. "He knows you're coming. Spirits like this, they always know." I looked ahead. My feet felt heavy, but I kept walking. I had come too far to stop now. We reached the gate of the compound just as the sky turned gray. The building stood tall and quiet, but it felt different now. It didn't look like the rich, peaceful house I once called home. It looked cold, empty, like something bad had already happened. "Are you sure you want to go in?" Chuka asked. "I have to," I said, though my voice shook. We pushed open the gate slowly. It creaked loudly, and the sound echoed in the quiet street. The compound was silent. The cars were still parked. The flowers in the garden had dried up. The air smelled like something had died a long time ago and was still hiding in the corners. As we stepped in, a sudden wind blew through the compound, though the trees didn't move. "Mary," Chuka whispered. "It has started." I nodded. I could feel it too. We reached the front door. It was wide open. Chuka held my hand. "I'll stay behind you." I stepped inside slowly. The house was dark. The light bulbs were off, and the air felt heavy. Each step we took made the floor creak. Everything was in the same place as when I left. The same chairs, the same big clock, the same painting on the wall. But something was wrong. It was too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes your heart beat louder. Suddenly, I heard a voice. "Mary, you came back." It was Daniel. I turned quickly. He was standing at the top of the stairs, dressed in white. He looked the same, but his eyes were darker. His face didn't have the soft, loving smile I used to know. His lips were straight, and his skin looked pale. "I knew you would return," he said, walking down the stairs slowly. I didn't say anything. My fingers tightened around the pouch in my hand. "You left me," he said, his voice calm. "You broke the covenant. You disrespected my family." I stepped back. "Your family tried to kill me." Daniel smiled a little. "They only followed the rules. You were meant to be the first gift. You were chosen." "I'm not anyone's gift," I shouted. Chuka moved closer, ready to protect me if something happened. Daniel's eyes shifted to him. "Ah, the helper. You should not have gotten involved, Chuka. This is not your fight." Chuka didn't answer. Daniel looked at me again. "You still don't understand, do you? The snake didn't come for you. Came to warn you. If you had stayed quiet, you would have been safe. But now, everything is broken." "Then let it break," I said, stepping forward. "I'm not afraid anymore." Daniel laughed. A deep, strange laugh. It didn't sound human. It echoed across the walls. "I see you went to the old priest," he said. "He gave you toys, didn't he?" I pulled out the pouch and opened it. Daniel watched me with interest. "Go ahead," he said. "Try your magic. See if it works." I took out the bitter leaf and lit it with the match Chuka gave me. The smoke started rising thick and strong. The air in the room changed. The shadows on the walls started to move. Daniel stopped laughing. "What did you do?" he said. I threw the salt in a circle around me and Chuka. A loud crack filled the room like something had been slapped. Daniel stepped back. His skin started to change. His eyes turned bright yellow, and black lines appeared on his arms. "You foolish girl," he growled. "You brought war into my house." I reached into the pouch and pulled out the black stone. Then everything happened fast. The walls began to shake. The floor cracked. A loud hissing sound filled the air. From behind Daniel, the giant black snake appeared again. Bigger, angrier. Its eyes were glowing. Its tongue flicked in and out. I screamed and threw the stone with all my strength at its eyes. The stone hit. The snake let out a terrible cry, like a baby screaming and a lion roaring at the same time. It twisted in pain and disappeared into smoke. Daniel fell to the ground, shaking. I ran to him even though I was scared. His eyes returned to normal. He looked at me and started crying. "Mary," he whispered. "It's gone. I feel empty. I feel cold." I knelt beside him. "What was it, Daniel? Why did you let this happen?" "I didn't choose it," he said. "It was forced on me. When I was 5, my mother took me to the river. They made me drink something. I forgot who I was." I looked at him. He was no longer the same man. His power was gone. "You're free now," I said. He nodded slowly. "But I don't know how to live like this." Suddenly, we heard footsteps. Daniel's mother appeared at the top of the stairs. Her face was twisted in anger. She wasn't alone. Behind her stood 2 men in red robes. "You fool!" she shouted at Daniel. "You let her ruin everything." Daniel looked up. "Mother, I'm sorry. I couldn't hold it." She looked at me. "Witch, you should have died the first night." Chuka stepped forward. "It's over. You can't hurt her anymore." One of the men in red raised his hand, but nothing happened. "The spirit is gone," I said. "Your power is broken." Daniel's mother screamed and ran down the stairs. But as soon as she stepped into the salt circle, she fell back like she hit a wall. She tried again and again, but she couldn't get close. "Leave," I said, "or you'll end up like the snake." The 2 men helped her up. They looked at Daniel with disgust, then disappeared out the door. Silence filled the room. Chuka looked at me. "You did it." I nodded. "No, we did it." Daniel looked lost. He sat on the floor, his head in his hands. "What happens to him now?" Chuka asked. I looked at Daniel. He has to choose who he wants to be. Now that the spirit is gone, he has to face himself. Chuka and I stepped out of the circle. The house felt lighter. The air was clean. The sun had gone down, but the darkness outside didn't scare me anymore. As we walked out of the house, I looked back one last time. The house that once held my nightmares now held my freedom. I was no longer the frightened bride. I was something else, something stronger. The morning sun was soft, but Mary didn't feel its warmth. Her eyes stayed fixed on the ground as the village elders gathered in silence. The air around her felt heavy, like it carried secrets that had lived too long. She stood barefoot beside Mama Neka, who held her hand tightly. Across the open square, Daniel was on his knees, sweat pouring down his face. His eyes were wild, and his hands trembled like a leaf caught in a storm. Behind him, Chief Anazi and a few other elders from the sacred grove stood holding old wooden staffs. They looked like men who had seen too much. The priest, an old man with cloudy eyes, stepped forward slowly. "The spirit of the blood serpent has been fed for too long. This curse was passed down through Daniel's family because of the sins of his great-grandfather." Mary raised her eyes slowly. "What sin? What did he do?" The priest sighed. "He made a deal with a dark spirit for wealth and power. He offered his bloodline in exchange. Every son born would carry the serpent, until one woman broke the chain by not giving the snake what it wanted." "And what does it want?" Mary asked, her voice steady. "Obedience, silence, a home, children, fear." Daniel groaned suddenly, falling flat on the ground. His back arched. Something under his skin moved like a shadow. A long lump ran down his spine and paused at his waist. The elders gasped. "The snake is waking," Chief Anazi whispered. Mama Neka pulled Mary back gently. "Don't look. Don't speak." But Mary didn't move. "No, I want to see it. I want to see what I married." Daniel screamed. His body twisted in pain. His shirt tore open from his back, and from his waist slithered out the snake, black and shiny, just like Mary saw that first night. It dropped to the ground and hissed, circling him. The priest raised his staff. The wife must decide. Will she feed it or break it? Mary looked at the snake, then at Daniel, then at her own hands. What do you mean? If you kneel and touch the snake, it means you accept it. It will enter your bloodline. Your sons will carry it. You will live rich but in fear. If you say no, Daniel must face the snake alone. The curse ends with him. Daniel lifted his face, tears running down his cheeks. Please, Mary, don't leave me. You said you loved me. Mary's heart thudded loudly, like a drum inside her chest. Her fingers shook. Her eyes moved slowly from Daniel's face to the dark snake slithering at his feet. It hissed again, raising its head, waiting, like it could understand everything. The crowd stood still. Even the birds in the trees had gone quiet. Mary took a step forward. Mama Neka gripped her arm tightly. Don't, her mother whispered. Once you touch that thing, it becomes yours too. You won't come back the same. But if I don't? Mary stared at Daniel, who now bowed low to the ground, crying hard. If I don't, he'll die. No, said the priest. He will fight. He may die. He may survive. But the curse ends here. Mary's mind spun. All the nights she cried alone. The way he looked at her sometimes, like he didn't even know her. The coldness in his touch. The things she had kept buried deep. And the snake. Always the snake. She took another step forward. The elders didn't move. They just watched. Daniel's voice cracked. Mary, please. I didn't ask for this. I didn't choose this life. I didn't know what I was carrying. I tried to love you, but it kept getting worse. Mary looked down at him. You had chances to tell me. That night I saw it. You said nothing. Daniel's eyes dropped. I was afraid. You let me suffer in silence, she said, her voice low. You kept feeding it behind my back. You wanted children so it could grow again. You let me believe I was mad. He shook his head, sobbing. I didn't know what else to do. The priest's voice rang out again. Time is almost gone. The spirit grows hungry. The snake hissed louder now, slithering in a circle around Daniel. Its body long and shiny like wet oil. His tongue flicked in and out. His black eyes locked on Mary. Everyone was waiting. Mary stepped back. She turned to Mama Neka. Give me the blade. Her mother froze. Mary, the one from the priest's satchel, Mary said. I saw it in your bag. Give it to me. Mama Neka's lips pressed together. Slowly, she reached into her wrapper and pulled out the short, sharp knife. It looked old, the handle wrapped in leather. Mary took it with steady hands. The priest's eyes widened. What do you mean to do? I am not feeding that thing, Mary said. And I am not walking away, pretending I don't care. If this must end today, let it end properly. Daniel's face twisted. Mary, no. She walked slowly, straight toward the snake. The crowd murmured. Some gasped. But Mary didn't stop. The snake hissed and turned toward her, its body coiling. Mary raised the blade. Don't! Daniel screamed. It will kill you. You don't know what it can do. Mary's voice was clear. But I know what silence does. I know what fear does. I've lived it. I felt it crawl into my heart every night. It ends now. The snake sprang at her, mouth wide open. But Mary was faster. She swung the blade hard. The sound of the strike echoed. The snake's body dropped to the ground, cut deep through the middle. It thrashed wildly, its tail beating the earth. But Mary stood her ground, breathing hard. Then it stopped moving. Daniel screamed again, falling backward. His body jerked. Blood ran from his nose. The ground shook beneath him, and for a moment, it seemed like the earth would open. Then silence. Heavy silence. The priest stepped forward. His voice shook. It is done. Mary fell to her knees, the blade slipping from her hand. Mama Neka rushed forward and caught her in her arms. Daniel lay still on the ground, his chest rising and falling slowly. He was alive, but something in him had changed. The mark on his back where the snake came from was gone. The shadows were gone. His eyes, when they opened, looked empty, like a boy just waking from a long, dark dream. Chief Anazi spoke. Let no one ever make a pact like this again. Let this day be remembered. The elders nodded in silence. The crowd slowly began to move. Women carried leaves and herbs for cleansing. The snake's body was burned with fire and ground leaves. The ashes were poured into a hole and sealed with salt and stone. As the sun climbed higher, the village returned to life. Mama Neka helped Mary walk home. Daniel followed behind them, quiet like a shadow. He didn't speak. He just stared at the road. Inside the compound, Mary washed her hands in silence. She looked at her reflection in the bowl of water. She looked older but freer. Mama Neka placed a hand on her shoulder. You were very brave. I had no choice, Mary said softly. I had to free myself. And him too, Mama Neka added. Mary nodded slowly. Yes, but now, he must decide what to do with his freedom. Daniel came into the yard and sat on the bench. He looked lost. Mary walked over to him. Do you remember anything? He blinked. I remember dreams, darkness, whispers. I thought it was normal. It wasn't, she said. And now you're free. He looked up at her. Are we still husband and wife? Mary paused. The wind blew gently through the trees. She thought about all they had been through, all she had lost, all she had won. No, she said gently. We're something else now. He nodded. I understand. They sat in silence. The curse had ended, but something else had begun. A new story, one that Mary would write on her own terms. And as the sun rose higher, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Peace.